What if I told you that the very habit most older men turn to for comfort, stress relief, or even sleep could be quietly damaging your blood vessels, dulling your nerve response, and slowly weakening your erections? I'm not here to shame you, I'm here to tell you what most penis surgeons now agree on. After the age of 60, masturbation, done out of routine or boredom, may actually do more harm than good. I'm Dr. James, a men's health specialist with over 30 years of clinical experience helping men just like you restore their strength, circulation, and confidence without medication. And I've seen a powerful truth in thousands of patients. The problem isn't always your age, it's what you're doing with your energy. Most men think masturbation is harmless. But the truth? After 60, it can interfere with blood flow, shrink nitric oxide, disrupt hormones, and slowly detach you from your body's natural rhythm. But when you stop and do these 5 specific things instead, things that activate your circulation, awaken your pelvic nerves, and rebuild your hormonal fire, your body begins to change. Today, I'll guide you through each of these 5 habits, including a 2-minute massage that reactivates nerve sensitivity and a walking trick that sends blood straight to your manhood. So, stay with me, because what you'll discover may be the most important decision you ever make for your health, vitality, and masculinity. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time. Just tap that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another tip designed to help you stay strong, energized, and in control, especially where it matters most. And if you find this helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me make this better for you. So let's begin with the first thing you should do instead of reaching for release. Something that takes less than 5 minutes each morning, but can send powerful signals to your brain, your blood vessels, and yes, your manhood. I call it the pelvic reboot ritual, and for many men in their 60s and beyond, it's the very first step toward waking up what's been asleep for far too long. 1. The pelvic reboot ritual, morning activation. Most mornings, older men wake up with a mix of stiffness, fog, and a sense that something just feels off. You sit up in bed, maybe glance at your phone, shuffle to the bathroom, and move into the day without even realizing what's been left behind. That subtle connection between your brain and your body, especially the part of your body that used to respond quickly, that used to come alive without effort, has gone quiet. But what if I told you there's a way to begin each day by gently restoring that connection? A simple ritual that takes less than 5 minutes, yet sends a strong signal to your nervous system, your blood vessels, and yes, your masculinity, saying, "Wake up, we're not done yet." I call it the pelvic reboot ritual. It's not just breathing, it's not meditation, it's a conscious act of reconnection. Every man I've worked with who's over 60 and struggling with blood flow, sensitivity, or performance begins here. Because if you don't tell your body where to send the blood, it will keep ignoring the very places you want to revive. Here's how you do it. The moment you wake up, before you check the weather, before your feet hit the floor, sit up comfortably on the edge of your bed. Place one hand on your lower belly, just below your navel. Now gently close your eyes. Take a slow breath in through your nose for 4 seconds, feeling your belly expand. Hold that breath for 2 seconds. Then slowly exhale through your mouth for 6 seconds, letting your shoulders drop. That's 1 cycle. Repeat this 6 times. While you breathe, bring your awareness to your pelvic region. Not in a sexual way, but in a way that reminds your body that this area still matters. I've taught this to hundreds of men. One man in particular, Henry, 68 years old, retired firefighter, tough as nails. Told me he hadn't felt any sensation down there in almost 3 years. He assumed it was just age. We didn't start with pills. We started with this. The first week, he said nothing changed. The second week, he noticed warmth returning in the mornings. By the third week, his morning erections started coming back. Soft at first, but steady. "Doc," he told me, "I thought it was over. I didn't realize my body was just waiting for me to pay attention." This ritual works because it resets your nervous system. Most men live in a fight-or-flight state, checking emails, watching the news, carrying the weight of years of stress. And the body responds by shutting down non-essential functions, including sexual blood flow. By activating your parasympathetic nervous system first thing in the morning, you're sending a biochemical message to your blood vessels. Open up, circulate, restore. And there's another layer to this: nitric oxide. Your body's natural blood vessel dilator. Studies show that slow diaphragmatic breathing boosts nitric oxide levels. And nitric oxide is absolutely essential for erections. Without it, the arteries in the penis stay tight, restricted. With it, they relax, allowing blood to flow fully and naturally. The beauty of this breathing ritual is that it does exactly that. No drugs, no devices, just your breath and your focus. I also want to say something that many doctors don't. This isn't just about performance. This is about identity. Many men over 60 feel like they're fading, not just physically, but emotionally. They don't feel powerful anymore. They don't feel connected to their masculinity. This simple practice reminds you every morning that your body still has life in it, that your manhood is not a memory. It's still part of you, if you're willing to meet it halfway. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds nice, but can a few minutes of breathing really make a difference? I understand the doubt. You've been conditioned to believe only pills or procedures can fix what's going on. But what if that belief is the very thing keeping you stuck? What if your body is far more responsive than you've been told, and all it needs is the right signal? I encourage you to try this tomorrow morning and the next, not with the desperation of trying to fix something overnight, but with the steady intention of rebuilding trust between you and your body. Because when that trust comes back, the blood comes back. The sensation comes back, the confidence comes back. And once you've made this small commitment each morning, you'll be ready to take the next step. One that's just as simple but far more powerful than most men realize. Because while breathing wakes up the nerves, the next habit sends blood exactly where it needs to go, even if you've been cold, numb, or unresponsive for years. And all it takes is a walk, done the right way. Let me show you. 2. The warm circulation walk, with one key rule. Most men I meet over the age of 60 tell me they walk every day. It's usually the first thing they say when I ask about their activity. I take a walk around the block every morning, or I walk with my wife after dinner. And that's great. Walking is a wonderful habit. But then I ask, do you feel it in your lower body? Do you ever feel a surge of warmth or sensation in your pelvis or your manhood when you walk? And that's when their smile fades, because deep down they already know the answer. The truth is, after 60, walking alone is not enough, unless you do it with intention, the right intention. You see, blood flow doesn't just magically go where you want it to. It follows your attention, your muscle activation, your posture, even your breathing. That's why I teach what I call the warm circulation walk. A simple adjustment to something you already do that can quite literally bring blood and life back to the places you thought were gone. Let me share a story. Ron was 71 when he came to see me, retired electrician, tough guy. Said he walked 10,000 steps a day but hadn't had any sensation in his groin for over 2 years. He'd accepted it as part of aging, but I didn't. I asked him to go on his usual walk, but to add one small change. "Ron," I said, "every step you take, I want you to squeeze your glutes. Not hard, just enough to feel it." He looked confused. "My glutes?" I nodded. "Your glutes. That's the key." The glutes are more than just muscle. They're the heart of your pelvic pump. When you gently contract them as you walk, you activate the entire posterior chain, and more importantly, you start pulling blood through the internal pudendal artery, the main artery that feeds the penis. Most men after 60 have incredibly poor blood flow to that area, not because the artery is blocked, but because the surrounding muscles have gone dormant. They're not squeezing, they're not pumping, so the blood stagnates. I asked Ron to do his walk this way, not faster, not longer, just more intentional. Each step a gentle glute squeeze, shoulders relaxed, breathing deep, eyes forward. Within 1 week, he called me. "Doc, I'm not sure if it's real, but I felt tingling this morning. I haven't felt anything there in years." 2 more weeks went by and his voice changed. "There's warmth now," he said. "It's like the lights came back on." What I love about this habit is how simple it is. You don't need a gym, you don't need equipment, you don't even need extra time. You just walk, but with purpose, with control. And ideally, you do it after meals, especially after dinner. Why? Because that's when blood tends to pool in your gut, slowing circulation everywhere else. But when you walk after eating with this glute-activating rhythm, you redirect blood flow back to your pelvis and lower limbs. It's like flipping a switch that says, "Hey body, let's not forget the basement." Now I know this sounds small. I know some men might think, what difference does a little muscle squeeze make? But here's the thing. Your pelvic region is one of the most ignored, underused, and neglected areas in your body. And when you neglect it, your body slowly begins to shut it down. Not out of punishment, out of efficiency. Your body assumes it's no longer needed. So if you want to bring it back to life, you need to send a clear message. This walk is that message. And something else happens when you walk this way. You start to feel different emotionally, stronger, more grounded, more present. You're not just moving your legs, you're reactivating your core. Your foundation as a man, the part of you that holds power, posture, and presence. I've had men tell me they feel more confident after just a few days. They stand taller, they breathe deeper, they reconnect. I want to be clear, this isn't a replacement for arousal or sexual activity. It's the preparation for it. It's the groundwork. Because if your blood isn't circulating properly, if your muscles aren't firing, if your brain isn't engaged with your body, no pill in the world will make you feel like a man again. But this starts the engine. So tomorrow, I want you to go for that walk. But don't just do it to count steps. Do it to send blood where it's needed. Do it like your manhood depends on it, and because in many ways it does. Start with just 10 minutes. After lunch, after dinner, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you show up, intentionally, consistently, purposefully. And once you do, you'll be ready for the next step. Because even if the blood starts moving again, there's another layer that most men forget: the nerves. You can pump all the blood you want, but if the sensation is gone, if the connection is weak, your experience will still fall flat. That's why the next thing I'll show you is so powerful. A 2-minute massage that doesn't just improve blood flow, it reawakens the very nerves that make you feel alive again. 3. The Nerve Wake Massage, 2 minutes that change everything. I'll never forget the look in Luis's eyes when he sat across from me in my office. He was 73 years old, proud, soft-spoken, and had been married to the same woman for over 40 years. But that day, he couldn't look me in the eye for long. His voice was low, and what he said was something I've heard more times than I can count. "Doctor," he said, "I just don't feel anything anymore. It's like the light switch is off, and I don't know how to turn it back on." This wasn't about performance. It wasn't about ego. This was about connection. To his body, to his wife, and to something deep inside himself that felt like it had gone numb. I asked him a few questions, and then I showed him something that has become a cornerstone of my care for older men: the nerve wake massage. It's not complicated. It doesn't require expensive oils or devices. All it takes is 2 minutes, a little castor oil, and the willingness to touch your body not for stimulation, but for healing. Here's the reality that most men don't hear from their doctors. After 60, it's not just blood flow that declines, it's nerve activity. The tiny nerve endings around the base of the penis, the lower abdomen, and the pelvic floor begin to lose sensitivity over time. Not because of age alone, but because we stop engaging with them in a meaningful way. Most older men who do touch themselves are doing so in ways that chase a quick release rather than nurture lasting connection. But your nervous system doesn't need more release. It needs attention, presence, and gentle reactivation. I told Luis to warm a small amount of castor oil between his hands each night. Not cold, not rushed, warm. Then with his fingertips, I asked him to massage in slow, small circles just above the base of the penis. Not on it, not around it, but right where the lower belly begins. Clockwise motion, soft pressure, just 2 minutes, while breathing slowly. No screens, no distractions, just focus, intention, and care. Why castor oil? Because it's one of nature's best circulatory and anti-inflammatory agents. It stimulates nitric oxide, improves tissue elasticity, and promotes lymphatic flow. More importantly, it helps your body release tension and adhesions in the fascia, those deep connective tissues that often become stiff, tangled, and unresponsive with age. That stiffness is one of the hidden reasons so many men lose sensation and control in the pelvic region. When you combine castor oil with intentional touch and breath, you're not just moving skin, you're reawakening a web of nerves and vessels that have been asleep maybe for years. And your body remembers. It always does. After 5 days of doing the massage nightly, Luis called me. He sounded different, lighter. He said, "I don't know how to explain it, but I felt warmth. Not arousal, not desire, just warmth, like it belonged to me again." That moment was huge, because that's when healing begins, when you start to feel that this part of your body isn't gone. It's still yours. It just needs to be touched with respect, not habit. This practice does more than improve nerve communication. It starts to rebuild your relationship with your body. Men over 60 often develop a kind of emotional detachment from their pelvis, either from disappointment, shame, or just years of silence. And that detachment becomes physical. The brain stops checking in, the nerves stop firing, the tissues stop responding. This massage reestablishes the conversation. It says, "I'm still here and I care." It's important that you don't confuse this with foreplay. This isn't about arousing yourself. In fact, if you turn it into a form of stimulation, you lose the healing effect. This is about reconnecting the brain and the body in a safe, non-erotic way. It's about sending blood and nerve energy to an area that's been neglected, gently, patiently, and with intention. And yes, just like with breathing and walking, consistency is what creates results. One night won't do it, but 5 nights, 10 nights, you'll be surprised how quickly your body begins to respond. More warmth, more sensitivity, even subtle twitching or pulsing, all signs that blood and nerve signals are returning. Luis kept up the massage for a month. When he came back for a follow-up, he had tears in his eyes. "I didn't think I'd feel like a man again," he said, "but something's changed. I feel alive again, present, like I'm back in my body." And that's what this is all about. Not perfection, not performance, presence, reconnection, feeling like yourself again from the inside out. Once you begin to feel that warmth and awareness returning, you're ready to go deeper, because now the blood is flowing, the nerves are waking up. But there's one final piece you need to strengthen, the foundation that holds everything in place. And believe it or not, you've been sitting on it your entire life. 4. The root lock exercise, every time you sit down. There's something about turning 60 that changes the way a man moves through the world. It's subtle at first. Maybe you notice you don't stand up as fast, or you shift a little when you sit down, or you're visiting the bathroom more often than before. Maybe you wake up at night, not once but 2 or 3 times, with the urgency to urinate, breaking the deep rest your body needs. And maybe you start to feel that the strength you used to carry in your core, the feeling of being grounded, solid, in control, has faded. I've had so many men sit across from me and whisper the same question, "Is this just what getting older feels like?" And I always tell them the truth. Yes, the body changes. Yes, muscles weaken. But no, this is not inevitable decline. What's really happening is that one of your most important muscle groups, a group you can't see in the mirror, has gone quiet. And if you learn how to wake it up again, you can regain more than just strength. You can regain confidence, bladder control, erection quality, and even that deep, anchored feeling of manhood. This brings me to what I call the root lock exercise. It's simple, private, and incredibly powerful. And it begins right now, wherever you're sitting. There's a muscle that runs deep inside your pelvis, the pubococcygis muscle, or PC muscle for short. It's the one you'd use to stop the flow of urine midstream. When you were younger, this muscle fired without thought. It kept your erections firm, your bladder in check, and your pelvic organs supported. But as we age, especially if we sit a lot or live with stress, this muscle weakens. It becomes lazy, and in time, it forgets how to contract at all. The good news? You can bring it back, and you don't need to go to a gym to do it. In fact, every time you sit down, in your car, at the table, on the couch, you have a chance to strengthen this hidden powerhouse. Here's what I told Mike, a 65-year-old veteran who had started leaking urine when he coughed or sneezed, and who confessed to me that his erections felt hollow. The structure was there, but the strength was gone. I said, "Mike, every time you sit, I want you to do 10 gentle contractions of your root muscle, just the same way you'd stop the flow of pee. Hold for 5 seconds, then release, and breathe as you do it." He was skeptical at first. "That's it?" he asked. I nodded. "That's it. But do it every day, every time you sit down." 2 weeks later, he called me with a voice that sounded like it had gained 20 years. "Doc," he said, "I slept through the night, first time in months, and I'm feeling things down there again. It's like I've got a new engine under the hood." This isn't magic. It's biology. The PC muscle supports the base of the penis. When you strengthen it, you improve the ability to trap blood during an erection, which helps you stay harder longer. It also supports the bladder and prostate, reducing urgency and leakage. And most importantly, it reconnects your brain to your pelvic floor, which is often the first thing to go silent when a man begins to feel disconnected from his sexuality. Now, I know life gets busy, I know routines are hard to change, but this one doesn't require time, it just requires intention. Waiting at a red light? Root lock. Watching the evening news? Root lock. Sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee? Root lock. No one can see you doing it. No one has to know, but your body knows. And with each squeeze, you remind it, I am still here, I am still strong, I am still a man. It's also worth noting the emotional impact. When you begin to reclaim strength from the inside out, not with pills or gimmicks, but with your own will. Something shifts. You feel more in control, more present, more confident walking into a room, lying down beside your partner, or simply looking at yourself in the mirror. Because deep strength isn't about size or performance, it's about presence. And presence begins with the root. Mike kept doing his exercises. Over time, he reported fewer nighttime bathroom trips, more solid erections, and Baumgit, in his words, a sense of power in my gut I thought I had lost forever. That's what happens when you wake up the root. You don't just feel stronger, you become stronger. Now, once the breath is flowing, the circulation is moving, the nerves are waking up, and the root is re-engaged. There's still one more layer to this. One that most men ignore, but that could be the silent thief of your hormones, your erections, and your energy. And the worst part, it often happens late at night, right before bed. Let me show you what it is, and how a 10-minute routine can completely flip the switch. 5. The hormone reset habit, better than ejaculation. There's a hidden cost to those quiet moments late at night. You know the ones I'm talking about. The house is still, the lights are low. You're lying in bed, maybe restless, maybe bored. You reach for your phone, you scroll, maybe watch something you wouldn't mention to your doctor. Maybe you're not even turned on, just needing something. And before you know it, it happens. A release, a habit. A moment you think will help you sleep, but instead leaves you emptier than before. I've had countless men tell me they masturbate at night to fall asleep. It becomes a ritual, something private, a small comfort. But what most men don't realize, especially after 60, is that this nightly habit can silently be wrecking their hormone balance, their emotional energy, and even their ability to recover during sleep. Ejaculation triggers a temporary dopamine spike, followed by a significant drop in testosterone and an increase in prolactin, the hormone that creates that flat feeling. Combine that with the blue light from your phone, the constant stimulation, and poor sleep habits, and what you get is a cycle of hormonal depletion. Night after night, year after year. Most men think they're unwinding. In reality, they're draining their body's ability to repair itself. That's why I created what I call the hormone reset habit. It's not about denying yourself pleasure, it's about reclaiming your ability to build, recover, and feel strong again. And it starts with just 10 minutes at night. 10 minutes that change the entire chemistry of your next day. I tell my patients to start with a warm foot soak. A basin, hot water, a few tablespoons of magnesium flakes or Epsom salt. Put your feet in, close your eyes, and breathe. This alone sends a powerful signal to your nervous system. We are shifting into rest mode now. Magnesium also helps regulate cortisol and increase melatonin, which is your body's natural sleep hormone. Most men over 60 are magnesium deficient and don't even know it. While you're soaking, I ask you to think of 3 things you're grateful for. You don't have to write them down, though that helps, but at the very least, feel them. This rewires the brain's default mode away from scarcity, stress, or loneliness, and toward connection, meaning, and fulfillment. Why does that matter for your hormones? Because your emotional state is directly tied to your endocrine system. A grateful mind produces more testosterone than a mind stuck in worry or regret. After 10 minutes, dry your feet, turn off all screens, and go to bed. No scrolling, no stimulation, just rest. Let your body do what it was designed to do: repair, regulate, rebuild. Because during deep sleep, your pituitary gland releases growth hormone, Your testosterone levels rise, your blood vessels heal, your nervous system resets, but only if you give it the space. I had a patient, Harold, who was 70 when he came to me. He told me very honestly that he had been using masturbation and online content to help him fall asleep for years. It had become his routine, but he was always tired, moody, and disconnected. He had lost his motivation and couldn't understand why. I introduced him to this nightly reset. He looked skeptical at first. How can soaking my feet replace something I've done for decades? But he trusted me. 1 week later, he returned with eyes that were clearer. "I feel rested," he said. "I didn't realize how wired I'd been. I'm not just sleeping better, I'm thinking better. I'm feeling more like myself." And within a month, his testosterone was up, his mood had shifted, and for the first time in years, he said he felt emotionally present with his wife again. That's the power of honoring your hormones. When you stop chasing momentary pleasure and instead build nightly rituals that restore you, everything starts to return. Your energy, your drive, your clarity, your confidence. You begin to feel like a man who's not just surviving, but thriving. Now, some men worry that giving up ejaculation means giving up intimacy or pleasure, but I want to be clear, this isn't about giving up. It's about choosing when and how to engage with your body. It's about shifting from compulsion to conscious action. When you give your body space to rebuild, even just a few nights a week, the quality of your erections, your desire, and your presence during intimacy can actually improve. And that's what matters most. Not how often you release, but how connected you feel when you do. So tonight, when the lights are low and the old habit starts to whisper, I want you to try something new. Light a candle, soak your feet, feel your breath slow down. Remember something that made you feel alive, and rest, knowing that every moment of peace you create now is building strength for tomorrow. Because now that your breath is flowing, your walk is purposeful, your nerves are awake, and your root is engaged, the final piece is here. Not another exercise, not another tip, but a powerful truth I want every man over 60 to hear. Something you may have forgotten, but your body hasn't. Let's talk about it. Conclusion. If you've stayed with me this far, I want to say something from the heart. Thank you. Because it takes courage to face these topics. It takes strength to admit that what once worked, whether it's masturbation for stress relief, for connection, or simply to feel alive, might no longer be serving you the way it used to. But what you've discovered today is something deeper, that your body, even at 60, 70, or beyond, still wants to respond. It just needs you to show up differently. We began with breath, with the pelvic reboot ritual, a simple act of reconnecting your brain and your body first thing in the morning. Then we moved into the warm circulation walk, where each step becomes an invitation for blood to return where it belongs. The nerve wake massage reminded you that sensation isn't gone. It's just waiting for attention. The root lock exercise gave you back strength from the inside out. And finally, the hormone reset habit showed you that recovery, not release, is the true foundation of masculinity after 60. I've seen these 5 practices transform men, not overnight, but over time, consistently, they rebuild what most thought was lost: blood flow, sensitivity, confidence, and connection. You're not too old, you're not broken, you're simply in a new season of manhood. And if you honor it, if you nourish it, you'll find that your best years, yes, even in the bedroom, may still be ahead of you. It starts today. It starts with one small step. So take it.